अगर पिछले 5-6 साल को छोड़ दें आप, उसके पहले के 20 साल देख लीजिए, MSMEs have not adopted technology at all. तो हमारा biggest competitor actually paper pen है.
Paper pen.
Is the biggest competitor, right?
Why I love the startup space for whatever negatives that we are hearing is, and that one sees across India, that young people are so aspirational. They are very unapologetic that हम बनाएंगे और बना सकते हैं large business and new age business.
SMB does not think themselves to be SMB. They think themselves, I'm the biggest company today around. They demand attention. They have problems which are very real, and they don't have the resources to set up and consume as as an enterprise has.
Yeah, and also it is very heartening for all of us that whatever ups and downs might come, what none of us can disagree to is that the Indian domestic market and the Indian SME market is a very large, and if we serve them well, a paying market. And you can go on to build large businesses, large revenue. आज हम फाउंडर्स मैनिफेस्टो में ला रहे हैं एक बहुत ही एजुकेशनल कॉन्वर्सेशन, और हम सब इसमें सीखेंगे क्योंकि व्हेन इट कम्स टू इंडिया दे आर 70 मिलियन SMEs एंड 7 करोड़ SMEs हैं, और हम सब सोचते हैं ये SMEs कौन हैं और इनसे बिजनेस इनके साथ कैसे किया जाए. टुडे विथ मी इज़ एन एंटरप्रेन्योर हु हैज़ बिल्ट अ फिनोमिनल बिजनेस विथ SMEs, एंड वी विल लर्न ऑल अबाउट इट एंड हाउ वी कैन टेक समथिंग फ्रॉम दिस फॉर आवर जर्नीज. एंड विथ मी इज़ ऑल्सो टुडे अविनाश Deepak from Airtel Business, someone whom I deeply respect because of the way he has worked and built in the SME market. So with both of them, Sumit Agarwal from Vapar and Avinash Deepak, let's have this conversation. Thank you so much for joining today.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Sumit, we'll begin with you. सबको please tell us the Vapar story. बहुत अच्छा नाम है of your startup, so tell us about Vapar.
The way we started Vyapar, I think that's very interesting. After living into it, my core agenda was to build something for the Indian market, and during that period I joined a small startup called Spoil for a short period of time, and during that, while working in that startup, we used to interact, and everybody on my father's side, mother's side is in business, right? So we keep interacting very regularly. So one of my cousin brothers who runs a small manufacturing unit in Firozabad, right? So he asked that, can you build a mobile app for me which has receivable, payable, sales and purchase.
Yeah.
So that was the point when I and Shubham, who is my co-founder and also my brother-in-law, so we got together and we thought, let's build it for him. So Vyapar actually was born for solving the problem of one person, and that was our cousin who runs a small manufacturing unit in Firozabad. And he was very confident that if you build it for me, I will make sure at least 10 of my friends will use. And we were happy that at least somebody will use what we built, and that's how Vyapar started. Interesting part is at that time also we named it Vyapar, and we have not changed the name, though we have changed the logo 4 or 5 times till now.
Which year was this?
So this was 2015 end, actually 2016 you can say, when we actually started building, just 2 of us, and started coding and creating the first version of the app and put it on Play Store.
Yeah, this is very interesting. मैं सोच रही थी when you were answering this that your surname is Agarwal, और कितने अग्रवाल होंगे इस देश में कि सब व्यापार में होंगे और व्यापार कर रहे होंगे more or less.
बहुत हैं. हाँ. और नहीं यूज़ कर रहे हैं.
नहीं यूज़ कर रहे हैं.
बहुत कम लोग यूज़ कर.
हाँ. तो tell us, because you have very successfully entrenched yourself in this market, in SME market, जहाँ पे कहा जाता है कि technology adoption, digital adoption अभी भी is not that omnipresent. आपने कैसे ये किया है? How have you found this adoption among SMEs?
So I would say it has been a journey. अगर आप 2016 की बात करें और if you talk about now, right? So I think we were lucky that we were at the right time in the market. What we could do, we have tried to do the best, which is build the product very, very simple. We'll talk more about as we go in our conversation about the competition and different type of products that exist. But I think market is one of the external factors is one of the reasons why this kind of adoption is happening so fast.
So जो आप कह रहे हैं कि tailwinds थे for the adoption to happen. Before I go to Avinash, tell us about Vapar. Vapar करता क्या है?
So Vyapar is basically a complete holistic end-to-end billing and accounting solution for MSMEs. इसको हम business solution बोलते हैं. Externally people call it as billing solution or accounting solution. लेकिन the way we are building it, it's a end-to-end business solution. क्योंकि इसमें हम billing, inventory management, accounting के core pieces, GST का tax filing and calculations, providing online store for growth for the business, which are part of more of CRM, some part of the payroll, expense management. तो it's सभी कुछ उसमें रहता है, right? तो because businesses see this or function like a integrated piece. Businesses खुद भी अलग ये चीज़ें अलग अलग नहीं देखते, उनके लिए सब कुछ integrated piece होता है, right? So we have built a holistic solution for an MSME जो कि अगर 30-40 लाख रुपए के टर्नओवर पे है, वहाँ से लेकर 15-16 करोड़ 20 करोड़ के टर्नओवर तक के लोग आराम से यूज़ कर सकते हैं. एंड दे कैन रन द कंप्लीट बिजनेस ऑन इट. दे डोंट हैव टू गो आउट ऑफ इट.
सो व्यापार से पहले व्हाट वाज द प्लेटफॉर्म दे वर यूजिंग?
So the users who come to Vyapar, right, इसमें majority people are the ones who themselves were not using anything. So 70-80% of the people who come to Vyapar are the ones who were not using any technology for their business on their own. So though they might have accountants who was using Tally, Busy, Marg or the other products, right? But उनके खुद के लिए कोई software नहीं था. तो Vyapar is basically penetrating that space जहाँ पे business themselves are adopting technology.
Avinash, I want to ask you, Airtel Business, today Airtel is a very, very credible brand. Vapar ने आकर व्यापार किया है SMEs के साथ, but Airtel is a household name. And you're also very entrenched in the SME space. What are one or two things that makes, you could tell us about SMEs that got you entrenched in them, and what keeps that trust going?
Our principal fabric that we have as an organization is that understanding the customer to the depth. Where is he coming from in his journey? Where is he now? And hopefully to understand where is he going. As you see Airtel, everything that we do is around the type of customer, whether it's an individual customer, home customer, student, a working professional, a small business, medium business, enterprise, or a global customer. It's centered around understanding the need. We, in fact, treat this as a competitive advantage compared to the rest of the industry. Then starts the other journey in terms of what can we do to fulfill that specific need. Wherein come in our people, our products, our infrastructure, our processes, technology, and so on and so forth. As far as the SMB industry is concerned, we have been able to understand, firstly, who are they, how are they different from one versus the other, right from a kirana store to a mid-sized startup for that matter, right from a organization which is into logistics of delivering a certain something using trucks to a highly digitized organizations like Vyapar, themselves. Understanding these, segmenting these, we built separate approaches for each one of them. The one that is closest to my heart is what we do with early stage startups. How do we take products which are on a platform, which are easy to consume, which help these organizations deliver best bang for the buck for that matter. एक चीज़ हम लोग अच्छी तरह से करते हैं इनके साथ, which is very successful. जो नया startup होता है, their intent is to reach out to a specific audience communicating their product. होता है क्या है कि they spend 100 rupees on marketing and they carpet bomb the entire country, and the response rates are like 0.1%.
Yeah.
There's a loss of money actually. We help them take their message to specific consumers who are on our platform, which have potentially going to show interest for that specific product, right? Keeping the privacy and the intent of our customer at center focus. So for example, recently we were working with a cosmetic brand, they wanted to identify women in tier 2 cities, working women. And we helped them, right? We knew the women which were okay to receive such a message. We knew where they were, who they were, and we sort of relayed this message. And after they showed interest, we allowed the brand to interact with that specific individual, keeping again, as I said, privacy at center focus. Therefore, the amount of effort that they have to spend in growth, in spreading the message, the cost involved is far more efficient, we have automated the entire tool. The tool has ready-made cohorts, which are, we have approximately 100 of them now, which the brand can just use as a click of a button, no need to even contact us, and send the message out. Another thing that we do with some of the medium-sized companies is that we help them identify where to put up stores. Like, if you set up, there is a car services company that we have, servicing of cars is what they do. They started and they wanted to set up 40 stores. We help them identify places where there is significant car ownership in the specific area. We help them communicate their message to car owners and not just about anybody, which was irrelevant. Therefore, they were able to get to ROI states far more, ahead of time than usually expected. This is what we do, as such. We're very passionate about young organizations which are sort of coming about, those kids, bright kids out of college, which are trying to make a living, change the country, and we support them with, if nothing else, best practices as to how we have succeeded as an organization and how that can be, consumed and replicated. I personally participate in those conversations. Some of my colleagues participate in those conversations, and we're very passionate about driving the SMB space, in terms of what they do, as well as, of course, adopting some of the products that we have.
When you were answering, I was just thinking that the data and the intelligence and context which you will have as Airtel Business is so powerful. And with that, I would love to understand, and for all of us, कि ये SME क्या है? क्योंकि we say 70 million SMEs in our country, they are the maximum employment generators in India, but just, it's like, it's too huge a universe. From a startup perspective, from a young business perspective, if I have to look at SMEs and understand, if you can give us some understanding of how you segment this market.
See, the segmentation is out of the 70 million, 7 crore जो हमारे SME है. The first top 1 crore is what everybody is trying to make sense, on to begin with. Once that consumption takes place, then you have a far more effective, ready, cost-effective product to take to the next layer and the next layer. So the market is essentially spread into broadly 4 layers. What we call is micro, organizations, small businesses. Then we have the medium businesses, and then we have something called mid-market. Mid-market, for example, are, the SMBs which are on the cusp of turning in the next 5 years' time, they will turn into being a proper, full-fledged, established enterprise, right? Okay. We have listed them out. We treat them very differently, and they are a great platform for us to learn the journey that they have been through, such that we can create products for far more younger organization. So these are the 4 segments that we really have, at least as an organization. Many organizations split it across 7 or more, depending on the product stage that they are in, the engagements they are in, as far as the industry is concerned. Yes, I agree that organizations like Vapar, what they're doing, there is tremendous amount of digital consumption potential that they have, which will drive India to the multi-trillion-dollar, economy that we are trying to, get to. Especially in tier 2 and tier 3, where the challenges are very different from tier 1 cities, as such. Density of living is far more wider by geography. So you can't use the same principles that you use in a high-rise, high density city like the top metros. You have to have a very different philosophy of how do you deliver, how do you connect, how do you store, how do you have your, back-end stitched, how do you serve. That is evolving very rapidly as far as tier 2 is concerned, where most of these small and medium businesses really exist. But yes, it's very exciting for us. It's very exciting for us to, work with the ecosystem, people who support SMBs, we ourselves doing our bit and playing, with the entire ecosystem. It's very exciting for us to basically drive that.
I want to ask both of you, Sumit, Avinash, is you know, when it comes to SME, there's still this perception that हो रहा है digital adoption, but they are not the fastest ones to adopt. And especially you are in a space जहाँ पे historically, you know, you don't have a very transparent system of filings, returns, or, you know, cash flow दिखाना और ये सब. What do you have to say? Because you're on the ground, you're meeting these SMEs every day. What do you think? What is changing and what is the same?
So if you ask me about the adoption, I think you are right. They are slow in terms of adoption because it's a mindset change, right? Anywhere when it comes to behavior change, it takes time.
Yeah.
And I think it has speeded up very rapidly in the last 4 or 5 years, and the speed is going to increase even more in the times to come. Right. So if you see the speed with which the UPI and everything got adopted, even the businesses are even in, I mean, Avinash was talking about tier 2, tier 3, right? If you go in tier 2 and tier 3 towns, there also we see now UPI getting adopted very
Sumit,
strongly.
मुझे question है, you said it will get speeded up more in the coming years. What are 1 or 2 levers which makes you feel very confident कि ये adopt करेंगे? उनका incentive क्या है fast adoption के लिए?
मैं बताता हूँ उसके दो तीन रीजंस हैं. एक रीजन ये है कि यूपीआई का अडॉप्शन. सो व्हाई यूपीआई अडॉप्शन? बिकॉज नाउ व्हेन आई गो इनटू शॉप, राइट, आई हैव सीन इट फर्स्ट हैंड. व्हेन कंज्यूमर कम्स टू द बिजनेस, द कंज्यूमर विल से आई हैव ओनली यूपीआई टू पे.
Yes.
अब बिजनेस के पास कोई चॉइस नहीं है, दे हैव टू स्टार्ट एक्सेप्टिंग यूपीआई. तो businesses don't adopt technology because they want, it's their wish, because market or environment forces them to do that.
Yes.
तो जैसे UPI में अभी when I was talking to a couple of businesses last week, right? So they were saying here now I have to take 50% of my business happens through UPI or digital channel now. Earlier it was like 20% only, right? And very straight. And this is B2B I'm talking about. So just imagine the amount of adoption in B2C space. So very clear example why that adoption is increasing and it will continue to
You
increase.
have to elaborate on what you said. Actually, agree to what you said. I was in Guwahati last week and एक साड़ी शॉप में I went and मैंने कहा, वो बोला कैश. मैंने कहा कैश नहीं मेरे पास, तो सिर्फ UPI. Actually had my phone only because that's your behavior in Bangalore or whatever.
Yes.
So फिर वो कहीं से निकालता है UPI का वो QR code and then he uses. So he is because he didn't want to let go of that transaction.
Correct. So that is one reason that you acknowledged, right? Second is government. So if you look at earlier, e-invoicing was at like 50 crore, then they brought it to 10 crore, now it came to 5 crore. As soon as it comes to 2 crore turnover, right? So e-invoice is basically, just for the understanding, e-invoice is basically every invoice or sale that you are creating as a business, you have to register with government at real time.
Okay.
Sort of real time, right? So then they have to use a digital platform, otherwise वो बिल ही नहीं create कर पाएंगे. तो ये adoption जो है ना, that is driving everybody to move towards digital channel anyway. So that is the reason why I'm saying it is going to be, it's going to just speed up more. No, there's no going back on it.
So if I may add, the businesses will adopt digital. They have to. It's been driven by the change in the consumer.
Yeah.
10 years back, we had, if I recollect, less than 2 crore active internet users in this country. Today there are 70 crores active monthly users for internet. This will increase to 1.1 billion in the next 5 to 6 years' time. It's rapidly increasing as well. Secondly, the diaspora is no longer, people who want to be entertained or just communicate on internet. They want to live their lives.
Yeah.
They want to learn, they want to consume, buy everything as far as, the new diaspora, the youth which is coming about in this country. For them, there is no television, no computer. For them, it's the mobile wherein they're learning, spending, interacting, communicating, etc. That user will eventually force the entire ecosystem of SMB to go more and more digital in terms of adoption. That's a major driver as well.
True.
Yeah, very fair point. We are all seeing it across. So coming back, if you had to say in Vapar, क्या मतलब अगर for all of us, and if you can share, what is the adoption that you are seeing? क्या behaviors है SMEs का? Because you have built a successful business.
When you talk about the behavior, I see that most of them start through mobile apps.
हाँ
सो जो स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट है मोबाइल ऐप रहता है. तो व्यापार में वी हैव अ डेस्कटॉप ऐप which is like can run on a PC or a laptop, and then we have Android Windows based, and then we have Android app, right? So what I see is Android app has a much faster adoption, and people use that to try it out. So that is one of the reasons why in desktop also, right? Our one of the acquisition channels is actually through mobile. So when you asked me in the beginning, right, the price of the product, so a mobile app is 600, desktop is 4,500. So we are able to build a good business because our core revenue channel is desktop, but one of the strong acquisition channel is mobile. So coming back, behaviors, mobile is something that is easy to try. So people just go and download from the Play Store and try the product. And once they try, that gives them the confidence ki let me try it on desktop. And that's how we also have built that journey to move people from mobile to desktop solution. Because those people are larger businesses. They will need a desktop solution. They cannot survive only using mobile.
Yeah.
But somewhere they have to start, right? That is one. Number of people who have started using the product completely online. So Vyapar is a unique product, just to give the context. Vyapar is the only unique product in the world. I'm using the word which has a both offline and online solution in accounting space. Nobody else in the world has built that kind of a solution.
In fact, I was going to come to this कि आपका जो हम कहते हैं ना स्टार्टअप वर्ल्ड में कि मोट क्या है, डिफरेंशिएशन क्या है व्यापार
दो
का?
डिफरेंशिएशन है. तो ये एक है. व्यापार completely offline solution है, और आप एक बटन ऑन करोगे तो इट विल बिकम completely online solution with the same everything same, nothing changes for a business, right? तो वो जो adoption है online जाने का, that is increasing very rapidly, right? People, more than 50% of the people are using the product online now. Online का मतलब है कि it is still a desktop app, but source of truth becomes the cloud. So that is another thing that I have seen rapidly changing. Third, I am seeing more and more comfort in people having their bank accounts or using online payment as their mechanism for in B2B space as well. For example, Vyapar has a mechanism where they can, when they're creating the invoice, right, they can generate UPI link from within the product and send it to their customer to receive the payment. तो उसका adoption भी काफ़ी increase हो रहा है. We have started integrating with banks, right? क्योंकि businesses के लिए एक basic requirement होती है कि whatever money you are collecting in the bank, that has to be reconciled with your accounting books, right? So we started connecting with banks. So they have started, number of people who were comfortable like 1.5 years back, and the number of people who are comfortable putting their bank details into the product to pull, that is increasing. So I think the mindset of adopting technology, comfort of कि things are safe, we don't have to worry too much, वो बढ़ रहा है कम समय के साथ. And the more it increases, better the adoption, more efficient the whole ecosystem becomes.
Sumit, मुझे जो मतलब what I'm hearing is that there is a very superior technology play over here in what व्यापार is offering to the SMEs. तो उनको दिख रहा है वैल्यू, तो वो आ रहे हैं और इसीलिए आपका numbers grow कर रहा है. But the question here is, tech only can't be the differentiation, right?
Correct.
Because you can have a lot of people coming as competitors, क्योंकि हम देख लेंगे कि अच्छा ये है, so
तो बना सकते हैं.
आ सकते हैं क्योंकि पैसा बन रहा है, you have paying SME customers and growing. तो what would you say differentiates Vyapar in the market कि मैं as an SME blindly trust, I feel safe and I feel that Vyapar is my partner? What are some of those things?
तो पहली बात तो व्यापार का ट्रस्ट डे वन से नहीं था, obviously, right?
क्योंकि हम यहाँ एयरटेल बिजनेस के साथ बैठे हुए हैं, बिकॉज एयरटेल बिजनेस, इफ आई डोंट वांट टू यूज द वर्ड लेगेसी, बट एयरटेल बिजनेस फॉर मोस्ट ऑफ अस 20 साल से वी हैव हर्ड द नेम, इट स्टैंड्स फॉर समथिंग. तो अभी इट्स ईजियर टू मूव टू एन एयरटेल बिजनेस, और व्यापार इज द न्यू किड इन द ब्लॉक.
करेक्ट.
सो
तो मतलब जस्ट टू आंसर आवर क्वेश्चन, ट्रस्ट पहले दिन से नहीं था, राइट? इनिशियली व्हेन पीपल यूज्ड टू कॉल, when we used to call to talk to the customers, तो first question was कि मेरा data safe है कि नहीं, कोई और तो access नहीं कर सकता है. So data safety and security is one of the primary concerns of the businesses, और वो आज भी है कुछ हद तक. मतलब obviously because of the word of mouth, because of the brand establishment in the country now, people have started becoming comfortable comparatively from the past times, but वो discomfort अभी भी रहता ही है. तो जो मोड की बात करें तो एक तो ट्रस्ट बिल्ड होने वाला पार्ट है विच इज़ गोइंग हैपनिंग ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. सेकेंड पीस जो है व्यापार का प्रोडक्ट वी हैव बिल्ट. तो एक मेजर डिफरेंस है, व्यापार प्रोडक्ट इज बिल्ट फ्रॉम द व्यू ऑफ अ बिजनेसमैन. तो जितने भी प्रोडक्ट्स एग्जिस्ट करते थे मार्केट में, आप टैली, बिजी, मार्ग, क्विक बुक्स, जो कोई भी प्रोडक्ट उठा के देखेंगे, इवन अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड आई वुड से, राइट, जोहो आप हम उठा के देखते हैं, या फिर हम तो मतलब वी स्टडी एवरी प्रोडक्ट, राइट. So they all are built from the view of an accountant or CA. I can give you concrete examples, but they are built from the view of an accountant or a CA.
Yes, yes.
Right? But Vyapar is built from the view of a businessman. आपको डिफरेंस का एग्जांपल देता हूँ एक. अगर कोई बिजनेस है जिसको आइटम क्रिएट करना है, तो आप किसी भी प्रोडक्ट को उठा के देखेंगे, उसमें उसको इनकम अकाउंट डालना पड़ेगा, इन्वेंट्री एसेट अकाउंट डालना पड़ेगा, भले ही वो डिफॉल्ट देंगे, बस उस तरह की टर्मिनोलॉजी रहेगी. व्यापार जैसे प्रोडक्ट में उससे कोई मतलब ही नहीं है. दे विल ओनली पुट मेरा सेल प्राइस कितना है, परचेज प्राइस कितना है, खत्म. तो दैट मेक्स इट वेरी इजी फॉर पीपल टू अंडरस्टैंड कि यार ये मेरे लिए है.
एंड ऑल्सो फॉर द लार्ज नंबर ऑफ, इफ़ आई मे से सो, क्योंकि हम पिछले 2-3 साल से वर्ड जो यूज़ कर रहे हैं D2C, कितने घरों में लोग अपना बिजनेस शुरू किए हैं. सो इफ़ आई एम नॉट एन अकाउंटेंट एंड आई एम एन एंटरप्रेन्योर सेलिंग अ जूट out of my home online, then I can use Vapar.
You can use Vapar, right? क्योंकि दो core principles रहे हैं हमारे starting से. एक, the cost of the product should be so less that it should not become a hindrance for people to adopt technology. Right? We want to charge at the right optimum price, but क्योंकि already लोगों में friction है, they don't want to use, right? And we don't want to create another friction of cost, क्योंकि अगर cost ज़्यादा हो, लोग यार छोड़ो बाद में try करते हैं.
But you will be competing in some way, if I may ask,
Yes,
is that with Tally and Zoho?
Those competitions are there. So we can talk more about it in the second part of it, of the answer. तो एक तो ये USP मैंने आपको बताया. Second, तो दो पार्ट हो गए, cost और simplicity of the product. थर्ड जो important factor था, जो हमने पहले बात करी, which was being offline and online. क्योंकि Indian market was not completely ready for an online solution. अगर आप ब्राउज़र बेस्ड सोल्यूशन दोगे तो एक कपड़े की दुकान में आप यूज़ नहीं कर सकते, तो क्योंकि इंटरनेट है ही नहीं वहाँ पे, उसने ब्रॉडबैंड नहीं लिया है, राइट. वो तो अभी भी लैपटॉप अगर खोलता है तो दे यूज़ देयर मोबाइल एंड हॉटस्पॉट ऑन करके तब वो यूज़ करते हैं इंटरनेट. तो द ऑफलाइन सोल्यूशन इज़ वेरी क्रिटिकल टू अडॉप्ट, टू गेट पेनिट्रेटेड इनटू दिस मार्केट. एज मार्केट इवॉल्व्स, राइट, देन ऑनलाइन विल गेट अडॉप्टेड. तो इसीलिए द फिलॉसफी दैट आई पर्सनली बिलीव इज solve for the current, prepare for the future. So with offline we are solving for the current and we are completely ready for the future, क्योंकि केवल एक बटन से आप ऑनलाइन जा सकते हो.
Avinash, I want to ask you this, and I'll come to you. It's very interesting. I want to ask that you were saying कि अगर एक cosmetic company को stores शुरू करने थे, so you gave them the context and the intelligence. Just for all the startups, क्योंकि startups today everyone is looking at their marketing spends very in a very focused manner. At least in the last 1 year, we've all been forced to look at it very prudently. And I'm asking you to pitch here. Why do you think that, if I have X amount of money and I want to, maybe expand, go offline, or maybe create a new channel to reach my customer in a very engaging way, Airtel Business would be the most compelling partner, effective partner?
Firstly, we have grown, making the best of every rupee that we spend in terms of marketing or whatever we do. It has to deliver to the highest amount of efficiency. That, being a first generation business and come up through very, very hard times in the industry, we have absolutely developed arguably the most efficient way to spend money in every aspect. For example, India is among the bottom 3 costs as far as manufacturing a minute or a byte is concerned, as far as telco. And we do that at scale for multiple tens of, crores of people. We, with that philosophy and with that experience, with some of those technologies, have stepped into the market and offered, the same to the, startup customer. For example, just 3 things. We help the startup identify the user using our telco analytics. Our telco analytics keeps growing, right? We get to know our intent to get to know the need of the customer, which is what we call intent detection. Helps us learn about, as I said, the past, the current, and the future of the customer far more better. And utilizing that intent, we serve the intent of the individual by connecting them to the right, need per se, whether it is the whether it's an intent to buy a certain something, intent for service, or intent of, searching for a certain something. Utilizing those technology allows us to convert those statistics, the analytics, into interestingly usable data. So we connect, the startups onto a platform, as I really said. They go about identifying specific cohorts, which, builds efficiency as far as marketing costs are concerned. Point number one. Point number two is once the customer is onboarded, he wants to purchase. The first thing which comes to his mind is, am I safe, secure? Is my data safe, secure? Many startups, especially, which have now scaled to a certain specific segment, have begun to realize that data security is competitiveness in the market.
Yeah.
And they entrust the data with us, which we are seeing increasingly growing as compared to other smaller organizations which are in the journey of setting up the security systems that we have. So at every level of interaction, there are shields of security systems that we have deployed which prevent theft of data, which prevent precious data that you have aggregated as a company about your consumer, about your behavior of your types of products in the marketplace. That is safe and secure as far as Airtel is concerned. That's the second part. Third is startups are startups. They are used to seasonality and they're used to scale. Given the size of operation that we run and the size of volumes that we really process, billions and trillions of messages, transactions is what we process at a given time. We are able to assure and demonstrate to the startup that if you're on our platform, scale is definitely not a concern. Scale, downtime, etc. This is unheard of as far as our platform is concerned, by and large. Yes, we have our challenges in terms of onboarding. Sometimes we get into glitches in terms of customization to what systems they have. But once you're on, achieving scale overnight at a click of a button is absolutely not a concern. So first is pinpointing your user through analytics. Second is safety, security of your data. And the third is scale, such that you as an organization grow faster, spend your money in the most efficient way, especially when you're a startup.
Yeah. We are all thinking about spending money efficiently. I'm sure all startups right now are thinking in that direction, and everyone has to be profitable. And at the same time, have scale and growth and users.
Everything all at the same time.
मुझको चांद ला के दो और जल्दी. I want to ask you, Sumit, again you are in a space which is, if I may say so, one of the most lucrative and sought after spaces. SME, be it large enterprises, to everyone is looking at building in this space, and I'm sure you would have a lot of competition. How do you differentiate? How do you stay ahead? And how do you look at competition?
So if we look at the market, the way I see is there are three categories of the products. Right? One is ledger apps kind of products, where the products like Khata Book, OK Credit fall into that segment. That segment is not our competition because our markets are very different. Or you can say segment is very different. That segment caters, those products cater to a different segment of the businesses. We cater to the next level of the segment in the MSME value chain. Second category of products is Tally, Busy, Mark kind of products, which existed from like 15, 20 years, 30 years. They have been catering to the MSMEs. The differentiation there that we have created is primarily from the way the product has been built. So those products, they are built for an accountant or a CA or a tax professional. They are not built for businesses from scratch. Vyapar from scratch has been built for the businesses. Our priority is business and their salesman and the chotu that works in a businessman shop, right? Our priority is not the tax consultant or the CA. We don't solve for them as of till now. Right? So that makes us very different from what they are. So their users are actually accountants or the tax professionals. Vyapar user is a businessman or their salesman. So that makes it different. Third category of products that I see is QuickBooks, Zoho kind of products, right, which are completely online. So their segment is different because they cater to the services sector. Vyapar is more penetrated in the trading, manufacturing segment. It's not. It's less in the services. So and majority is, and 20, not even 10 actually, not 20, 10-15% are the services business in India. Around 30-35% are trading, and then 20-30% are manufacturing. So we are catering to that segment, not the services segment. So that's how Vyapar becomes very different from what products have been existing in the market till now. When it comes to USPs, we talked earlier. One is obviously cost effectiveness, simplicity of the solution, the way it is built for MSMEs, not for the accountants, and the offline online part, which is very critical for this particular segment to adopt. So that makes it very different. Fourth thing that I want to call out, which everybody doesn't understand from the beginning, which is support. MSMEs need lots and lots of support. So support has to be built from scratch, from the day one, right? So in our company, we had support before we had sales.
That way we are a very different market. SMEs, I think globally would need a lot of support because it's support. Again a traditional industry going digital. They're not digital first.
Yes. So it doesn't matter how simple you build the product, they'll still need support.
Yeah, but Sumit, मुझे question पूछना है कि आप इतना अच्छा कर रहे हैं in an SME space. Again, as I said, it's a very lucrative market, but there must be some challenges also of building and operating in this space. What are some of those, and how are you navigating that?
So I will segue from your previous question to this. तो हमारा biggest competitor actually paper pen है.
Paper pen.
Is the biggest competitor, right? So now, so that is the biggest competitor, right? क्योंकि अभी भी 80% of the businesses are still using paper pen for themselves. तो वहाँ से if you see कि जो आपने बोला ना कि क्या challenge है, तो that is the challenge.
And I want to call this out क्योंकि अभी आजकल मैं घूम रही हूँ बहुत सारे शहरों में, तो when we are sitting in big cities we think ये challenge नहीं है, ये कैसे हो सकता है, but actually when you go to the towns you realize that this is a reality still.
And not even like I'm not talking about only tier 2 tier 3 tier 1 में भी आप अभी कुछ दिन पहले मैं दिल्ली गया था. दिल्ली में आप पर्टिकुलर एरिया था, वहाँ पे hundreds of शॉप, राइट? किसी भी शॉप में आप जाएंगे कोई सॉफ्टवेयर यूज़ नहीं करता, सब केवल पेपर पेन पे बिजनेस करते हैं. तो अडॉप्ट बिगेस्ट प्रॉब्लम इज द माइंडसेट, आई वुड से. इट्स लाइक द पीपल रियलाइजिंग कि यार टेक्नोलॉजी यूज़ करके माई बिजनेस विल बिकम एफिशिएंट and it will continue to be safe and secure the way it was before.
You know, in a way I would say that you're also helping build the category, right? You are building, and it is a painstaking process, and it's a long process also.
Long process. Because market is changing, people are evolving. It's like evolution for the country. Because आप अगर पिछले 5-6 साल को छोड़ दें, आप उसके पहले के 20 साल देख लीजिए, MSMEs have not adopted technology at all, and that is the reason why when we started the conversation, your first statement was कि यार MSMEs तो technology adopt नहीं करते, and that is a very slow growing market. How do you handle that? तो that problem has been there for a long time, और अभी भी वो exist करती है.
And we can't sugarcoat or brush it under the carpet. It is a reality.
That is the reality.
And startups like Vapar, I would say you're helping build the category also, and it's a hard work.
It's a lot of hard work.
But you have investors, and so many investors. How do your investors look at this?
I am really lucky because the investors that we have got are really patient and understand this market really well. You know, I won't say they understand the market really well, but they are patient. And they have understood that this will take time.
You understand the market really well.
So they are really patient, and they are supportive of the fact कि ये market time लेगा. Right? And they have patient capital, I would say.
And if I may ask, because आजकल हम startup world में profitability की बात कर रहे हैं, आप कहाँ पे हैं उस journey में?
I would say the first thing is कि व्यापार as a company we have always built with a mindset कि हमें profitable होके public जाना है. We have never built the company even when we were at the time of 2017 when we decided कि अब इसको scale करना है या बड़ा बनाना है. At that time also the thought process was कि we will build it really large and become the largest business solution in the country, and we have to become profitable. And क्योंकि धंधे वाला mindset है, to be honest, right? We don't want to build a company और sell out करके फिर दूसरी build करें, वो mindset नहीं है. तो इसलिए वो कोई challenge नहीं है मेरे लिए, हमारे लिए कुछ भी different नहीं था. जिनका mindset नहीं था शायद उनके लिए थोड़ा challenge आया होगा, but मेरे लिए कोई भी different नहीं था. We were already running with that mindset कि इसको profitable बनाना है जल्दी. right? It's just that key investors also understood and they supported even more,
Yeah, which is also very,
which is good.
which is very good, very,
Which is good,
very.
right? So, and when you to answer that question, कि कितने दूर हैं? I think 9 to 12 months, maybe max 15 months. उससे ज़्यादा दूर नहीं है. We are running fast towards that, along with growth. तो ग्रोथ को बिना छोड़े प्रॉफिटेबल की तरफ भागना है. केवल प्रॉफिटेबल होना और ग्रोथ को छोड़ देना, दैट इज ऑल्सो नॉट समथिंग दैट विल हेल्प, राइट? इट हैज़ टू गो ऑन इन एंड. वो जो बैलेंसिंग है, दैट इज़ द कोर पीस ऑफ हाउ डू यू बिल्ड इट. यू कैन नॉट लीव कि मैं ग्रोथ बाद में कर लूँगा, पहले प्रॉफिटेबल बन जाता हूँ. वो एक्चुअली आई वुड से वो हमारा थोड़ा लक भी है, क्योंकि वी रेज द कैपिटल इन 2022 एंड वी हैव एनफ कैपिटल. हमारा द वे वी हैव बिल्ड द कंपनी फ्रॉम द पास्ट, बहुत ज़्यादा बर्न नहीं था. तो आई थिंक स्टार्स अलाइंड.
The Agarwal in you is helping.
Probably.
Avinash, I have to ask you this, you know, the data today, and I was reading this RBI report, and this was more in context with banks, that the data which the banks are also getting today, all of us, and I'm asking you because Airtel Business also is sitting on so much of data. That one is that AI adoption will be faster, where the data sets are very, very large. And second would be privacy and data security will also become a huge concern. And again, this was in context of banks, that how they have to look at it proactively. I just want you to talk about how do you as Airtel Business look at it?
So, okay, let me cover security first. See, I personally, having spoken to thousands of organizations, believe that security is firstly a board mindset. And unfortunately, that comes in a little later in the stage of your journey, or it is sort of enforced, and then you start spending the dollar and start looking at it. Of course, things are rapidly changing. Many young organizations are starting with, security as a first principle. As far as Airtel is concerned, that is very thickly ingrained. Security of our consumer, of our data is paramount. We are among the most regulated companies today because we carry a lot of public data. We are, not just a mobility provider for 35 crore customers in this country, broadband, etc., DTH. We also are a bank, and we carry loads of transactions of financial data, keep money as far as these organizations are concerned. It's a regulated, RBI regulated, licensed business. So we, at the organization, at the leadership level, place paramount importance of security. It's as good as our sustenance, as good as our, brand, being tall. Yet another point is that we are carriers of the internet. Nearly 40% of the internet in this country reaches users from Airtel. Therefore, we see malware, we see threat. We're the first, organization to see threat happening. We deploy security systems to control that, to prevent that, to identify that, and that's a continuous, upgrade that we really have. So we in fact have set up a completely automated, autonomous security operating center. Basically what it does is it is continuously searching through technology, what are the threats which are coming up, evaluating each one of them, and without any human intervention, killing that threat, and then reporting it, to us, saying that this is what really happened. It does not wait for any human intelligence to come in. It takes instant decisions basis various algorithms, and again, it's learning, it's growing. Similarly, we are an organization which will never ever utilize, as I said, consumer data for anything other than what the consumer really wants. For example, we use consumer data to plan our networks. If an individual is getting a call drop, very basic example I'll tell you, we get to learn that there is a call drop or there's a data speed slowness which is being experienced, and we immediately plan our networks in that capacity. We get to know user behavior night versus day and reroute capacities, into locations which are active at a specific time of the day. And it just goes on and on in terms of the consumer data and what we need to basically, do to our, network in terms of addressing it. You spoke about AI besides security. In the last similar discussion, I explained about a strategy as to how we are firstly improving the product in terms of fault reduction. It all starts there. Infrastructure, the product. How are we working about proactively resolving a problem without the customer even know, right? And then how are we basically enabling digital channels to address, the need of the customer in a proactive way, which has got intent identification already built into it. Happy to say that with AI coming in, machine learning coming in, we have deployed several, platforms, first as experiments, as some of them have achieved scale. For example, all our outbound call processes today is AI led. It's 90% human-like experience in multiple languages, which can help you understand a billing problem, right? AI enables that for us, right? You actually talk to the app and it explains to you कि, आपकी payment इस दिन को आई थी, इतने रुपए की आई थी, और इतना आपका balance है, उसमें से इतना इसके लिए, इतना उसके लिए है. For example, consumers just love it because you don't have to wait. That automatically dials into you and explains, this is what it is. We are also working on some processes which are on the inbound side wherein we automate, things. AI also is helping us, through various statistics, pinpoint why is the customer reaching us or why is he going to reach us.
Oh,
right?
Interesting.
Right? And I'll give you a very basic example that if, if the customer has had a failed payment, and he has anxiety level that, I did not get a message or my payment is failed, we proactively reach him out through a, voice bot. Or if he's calling us on, or if he's reaching out on chat, we know that you have a failed payment, don't worry, it is getting resolved. 70% of our customers don't even go to the next query. And they feel that there is trust, right?
Yeah.
This brand knows my problem and is sensitive to my needs, understands me as an individual, and trust eventually is everything. So AI is actually at the backdrop as far as driving this. Mind you, we are an organization of scale, and deploying things, changing the organization, deploying technology takes that much more time. It's a Herculean effort to deploy a certain something. And we have made phenomenal progress, in the last 6 months to 1 year. And next 6 months to 1 year, again, we are intending to really scale, improve customer interaction through AI, keeping security as a baseline, as a hallmark of what we really do.
Yeah, the underlying layer to everything.
Yes,
yeah,
that's right.
And that's why we trust Airtel. So in the closing, 1 or 2 questions I want to ask both of you. You, Sumit, and Avinash, then if you could also chime in this, is that if today I as an entrepreneur or someone who's listening to us wants to operate in an SME market, what are 1 or 2 things that you will tell that they have to do to be successful? क्योंकि पहले तो लोग एंटर करने में सोचते हैं, हम बड़ा एक्सेल बनाते हैं, तो what I have learned is segmentation is very important because this is not one monolithic market, it is very segmented. But then what do I need to do to succeed in this market?
तो पहले encouraging part देखते हैं. So first of all, people अभी भी वो mindset है काफ़ी लोगों में thinking कि businesses don't pay, right? MSMEs don't pay.
Yeah.
So वो mindset I think we should not have because people will pay. It's not the challenge of people cannot pay or they don't want to pay. It is the value of realization of the value of the product that they are getting. So it is more from that angle than from the payment perspective. The encouraging part is we should remove that mindset that businesses don't pay. They will pay for the product they are getting.
Value अगर मिलेगा तो pay करेंगे.
To बाकी चीज़ें basics हैं, right? One is product. Product has to be really, really strong. It has to solve the purpose. जो most emphasizing factor जो मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ वो है support. MSMEs के लिए अगर आप business build कर रहे हैं तो you have to think support first, क्योंकि it doesn't matter how good the product is, support के बगैर नहीं pick करेगा वो. And businesses want that comfort कि if let's say I am facing a problem, somebody is there on the other side to solve it.
You know, I have one question. Other side में chatbot हो तो चलेगा या they want humans
उनको ये लगना नहीं चाहिए कि chatbot. If they feel कि ये chatbot है, then it will, it will be a detractor. Because they want someone to come and help them.
Yeah.
अगर आप उसके लिए पैसे चार्ज कर रहे हो, they are okay.
हाँ.
लेकिन
But someone is there with
someone is there to help me.
Yeah.
Right? I think these are the 2-3 things very very important to build for this segment specifically. I think वही हमारी भी strength है, if you ask me. Product is strong, support बहुत strong.
And you see a very strong aspirational drive, because one of the things that I feel about, why I love the startup space, for whatever negatives that we are hearing, is, and that one sees across India, that young people are so aspirational. They are very unapologetic that हम बनाएंगे और बना सकते हैं large business and new age business. Do you see that scale mindset, growth mindset in SMEs?
वो challenge है. मतलब people don't, the aspirations are not that high for in the business segment, right? But I think वो over the period of time improve हो जाएगा. वो behavior change है, right? अगर आप मतलब when the people who are running the business for like 15-20 years and they're sitting in the same place, in the same shop for 15-20 years, right? तो समय के साथ उनके अंदर die down हो गया है. लेकिन the young people, their sons, their family members who are joining, who are like in the age of 25 to 35, 40 की range में जो हैं, वहाँ पे वो है aspirations. तो I think वो समय के साथ अपने आप ही solve हो जाएगा. उसको हम और आप solve कर भी नहीं सकते.
Yeah.
Right? That is because it's a behavior and adoption वाला part है.
My view is that कि पहले तो अगर आपको SMB segment में जाना है, especially small and medium, especially the small, बेचो मत उनको. You have to really understand their need. There are 3 segments which are trying to approach SMB broadly. One is SMB selling to SMB. They are reasonably successful, but obviously they don't have scale, whether it's ambition or whatever it is. Secondly, if you see enterprise trying to sell to SMB with an enterprise mindset, that doesn't really work, as such. And this is the reason why the brands that you see in enterprise getting consumed in SMB are totally different. Totally different. I mean, there are barely 4-5 enterprise organizations that you can talk about, which are large enterprise organizations, which are sellers, servicing products, which have presence in all layers. I mean, AWS is one example that you can talk about, but very, very few. So first you have to understand, them, what really works. I think the mistake that some of the organizations are making is that first they look at market size, how much can we earn. It doesn't really work like that. The third segment, which is trying to sell to SMB, which is the most popular, most well-established, successful, affair, are the startups, as such. The reason that they have grown to such an extent that they have spent time in a very humble way to understand realities of problems, of psyches, etc. So that's the first thing. Becho mat, let's understand, them. Therefore, your product falls into place. Therefore, use falls into place, etc.
Like Vapar has a simple product for that.
Absolutely, absolutely right. The second is trust. Paper pencil is there because in many a case, it's resistance to go online, and many a case it is trust. The worst examples that we have seen is that people have already gone online, but still they maintain a paper pencil ledger, because end of the day you compare ki this is working or not.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure when did you last go and check Amazon in the month, how many payments are made, whether the returns payments were refunded into a bank account. None of us really do that, at least I don't. So the trust has to be enabled. It's a slow process, but that has to be center focus when you approach an SMB is already onboarded, that you trust me. You trust me. I made a mistake, I'm correcting it. I made a mistake 6 months back, you didn't realize, I'm correcting it, right? There's nothing better to go and acknowledge, that, and many organizations I see doing this very, very well. Trust. The second is service, support. SMB does not think themselves to be SMB. They think themselves, I'm the biggest company today around. They demand attention. They have problems which are very real. And they don't have the resources to set up and consume as, as an enterprise have. I mean, there's an enterprise, there's a tech leader, there's a marketing guy and all that. Wahan pe there are 2-3 people who are doing everything, right? My favorite example, I'm sort of, getting into this example as such, that we offered routers free with our internet to SMB category, and he thought, SMB would give an arm and enterprise would give an arm and leg. This was 5 years back. Many routers were shipped, but none of them got activated because the SMB guy said, I don't know how to configure this.
ये तो मैं समझ सकती हूँ.
Yeah, exactly. So so service is about, it's not about the intent to serve. It's the cost to serve.
Yeah.
The ticket size of an SMB customer is so small that you cannot afford to send an individual to his, place to basically support him. So everything has to be self-serve, digitized, proactive, available on a simple screen. The minute you start putting in very advanced set of resources to serve an SMB customer, which is very small, the SMB will be happy, but your business will collapse.
Yeah.
This model, very few organizations have been able to crack in terms of cost-effective support. So basically 3 things: really deep level understanding of what they are. Second is trust, and the third is, service and support are vital. Besides the fact that you set up a product, you set up a go-to-market, you set up, whatever you really have in terms of a brand. So that's the few points that I thought I'd share.
That's why I enjoy talking to you, because your understanding of SMEs is very real. And this router example, I think, should stay with all of us. कि अगर भेज रहे हैं product और service अगर बात कर रहे हैं तो क्या, we don't have to think from our lens but from their lens. Yes. Sumit, क्या expect कर सकते हैं? We are in 2024, still the first quarter. What should we expect from Vapar? और आजकल सारे startups IPO की तरफ जा रहे हैं, बड़े funded. What is your plan?
So obviously, as I said earlier, we will go in that direction, and we are already heading towards that. The vision is basically to become the largest business solution in the country. We are working on solving the end-to-end integrated problem, starting from billing, from the business to the accountant and the CA's tax filing part. So it's a complete end-to-end spectrum that we are covering. And market is very, very large. I think it's much larger than our imagination.
Yeah.
So I think in the next 4 to 5 years, we plan to look at the perspective of becoming public.
Yeah, and also it is very heartening for all of us that whatever ups and downs might come, what none of us can disagree to is that the Indian domestic market and the Indian SME market is a very large, and if we serve them well, a paying market. And you can go on to build large businesses, large revenue.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to both of you, and I'm hoping that all of us had a lot of takeaways and learning from this conversation. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Shraddha.